ladies and gentlemen, on Troy Cablevision. Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos this morning, coming to you live from our studios on South Frontage Street in Troy, Alabama. We're Troy Cable, and this show, Today in L.A., that's Lower Alabama, has been brought to you since 1998 on this television dial, and I hope everybody's having a great morning. Brought to you by Bill Jackson Chevrolet, Bill Jackson Ford on the bypass right here in Troy. And boy, some beautiful, beautiful 150s. Probably the hottest car on the road over the last 15 years is that 150. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I know you had one for a long time. Always enjoyed
250,000 miles worth. How about that?
Yeah, went to a mini of football game, I guess just sporting events in general. And that,
and just as proud as I could be, I was just as proud if I'd been driving a Mercedes. Is that why they call them Mercedes?
Yeah, you've driven a Mercedes yourself. So,
yeah, but I'll tell you this: a Mercedes is a great car unless you have to take it to the a Mercedes is a great car until you have to take it to the garage.
Name a car that you haven't driven in your life. I know you've driven Toyotas, Mazdas, Nissans, Volvos, Mercedes, Ford trucks, Ram trucks, Toyota trucks.
And that old Toyota trucks, your sister wouldn't even let me pick her up at school on that Toyota truck.
Well, you had a Volkswagen Bug.
Thank you.
I remember when I was a kid.
You're right, that Volkswagen, that yellow Volkswagen. And man, let me tell you, anybody that hadn't had a Volkswagen hadn't lived, man. They haven't lived. About like somebody that hadn't drank a country club malt liquor. You know, they haven't lived.
Your twin daughter, Camille, got a brand new Volkswagen Rabbit convertible.
Yeah, you felt real bad. One thing about what you got a boat hooked onto yours. You got a nice car, and then you had a boat hooked onto it. I bought both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I never, I think, actually drove the boat. But yeah, I do remember that little Jeep I had when I was 16.
Yeah, I remember that. And of course, it had to be delivered on the front porch. Isn't that right?
Probably the front yard, I guess.
Mike Amos calling in from...
This show is sponsored by the Graton Beach Tourism Board. It's absolutely gorgeous down here. The water, I thought, was pretty over the weekend, and then I went out there yesterday, and it was even prettier. So, actually, just gorgeous weather down here, and the water is incredible. I mean, you couldn't pick a better time to be down at the beach.
No question about it. Graton Beach is a beautiful place. It's one thing I like about Graton Beach is one in, one out. Isn't that right?
Yeah, well, you're surrounded by Graton Beach has two state parks, and they're basically surrounding Graton Beach. So you can only go on the actual beach, on the actual truck. You can't wander into the state park beaches.
Of course,
signs there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, the schools, we're talking about Troy University, wants to open their doors back on June the 1st. Do you know anything about the city of Troy's when they're going to allow their school to open back up?
I have no clue on Troy City schools. I would imagine they wouldn't be until August.
Yeah. And that's a long ways away. Somebody asked me the other day, said, gosh, are we going to be able to have football? Well, gosh, that's 120 days away.
Well, everything I have read, that's the plan. University of Alabama's opening back up, and Auburn's opening back up, and schools around the country are opening back up in June. So Troy's University's opening up back up in June. So
well, June. All right, how about this? The whole month of May, June, July, August. That's 120 days right there, and then you add in.
Coach Lindsey said he would probably need at least 6 weeks to get his team ready.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be working some on their own quite a bit too. But let me just say this: nobody loves football more than me. I'm telling you, I love it with a passion. I really do. but I don't want us to do it and it cause another problem, and we're not going to be ready. I want us to make sure we're ready to start before we start. Here's some information.
I read articles last night. I think it's, what everybody's been talking about is going to end up being the truth. Is now there's articles coming out that this virus was around before the new year, and that it had already spread to the United States.
Yeah.
So, you're starting to see.
Were you sick, Steve?
So I mean, you're starting to see people that
you actually had it in December.
Well, you're starting to see.
Why didn't you tell us, Steve?
You're starting to see people in January. I know a lot of people, friends of mine, had something very similar to this, and then they went to get tested, and they didn't test for the flu. So I mean, it probably was COVID-19, the coronavirus they had, and I think my family definitely had
negative both times.
I think my family definitely had it in January, and I think I had something similar to this.
What now?
In March.
Steve had a fever over 100 for 12 days and still you posted a negative. Is that right?
Twice.
Yeah, when you were tested.
Well, now you get tested for the antibodies, so I mean, you can find out if you actually had it before.
Yeah, so you gonna do that? Bill Rice Jr., of course, he had that cough for a long time, but so far has not tested positive yet. And
of course, the totals now in the United States cases are 1,238,000. You have, unfortunately, over 72,000 deaths. Worldwide, you have over 3,751 cases, and you have 259,000 deaths. So
that's worldwide now.
Yeah, the numbers yesterday were, I think cases were around 26,000 new cases and around 2,400 deaths yesterday.
And 2,400 deaths yesterday in the world or the nation?
That's just United States.
Oh boy, that's a lot of deaths per day. In one day, they had 2,400 deaths.
Yeah, well, the United States has been averaging about 1,700 deaths a day.
Averaging 1,700 deaths a day. We can't even think about ball until all this stops. Really, I love ball as much as anybody, but I love people more than ball,
Well, you got to remember what the cases are, though. We keep on, mentioning that, out of the, 1.2 million cases, you got 330,000 in New York, 131,000 in New Jersey, 70,000 in Massachusetts. So, you take away those areas right there. I mean, you're looking at close to, what is that going to be? 530,000 cases?
Yeah, that's right.
States?
That's right. You're exactly right.
I mean, I live in Florida. Florida has 37,439 cases, and they have, 1,400 deaths.
Yeah. You know something that is really unusual, too, and then you look at Northwest Florida, and their totals are way down, way down. Is it because people are not being tested or what?
Well, I mean, I think it goes back a lot that people had this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And have already had it. I think that's what you're dealing with, with the coronavirus really now. I mean, I was watching the city council or the county commissioners opening the beaches back, and 2 or 3 different people that were interviewing about opening them back up, wanting the beaches to open back up and the restaurants, and they had already had the virus back in, the first of the year, early January. So,
well,
Alabama's cases have gone up a lot for a small state. I think Alabama's population is 4.5 million. I mean, Alabama's now got 8,437 cases. You look at Alabama compared to a state like West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia's only got 1,200 cases.
So far, and I'm looking at the totals give us the totals for the United States and the totals for the state. I know it. Let's do it one more time. I want to see it one more time.
I mean, the United States is...
All right, well, what's today? Do you know the actual date today?
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo was yesterday, so
well,
5/6/2020.
Well, today is May the 6th?
Yeah.
Okay, on May the 6th, and that's today.
Total cases in the United States are 1.2 million.
238 million, yeah.
72,285.
72,285. And what does recovered mean? That means they were tested and they've actually recovered from the virus?
It means they had the virus and now they're, symptom free.
Okay, now looking at us now statewide, in the state of Alabama, give us those figures.
Yeah, I just mentioned it's 8,437 deaths, 315.
315 deaths statewide. Now, in Pike County, Alabama, and I've got those figures this morning, and now we've gone up to 82, so we're rising every day. 82 confirmed cases in Pike County, Alabama.
But you got to realize, some of these people are probably just asymptomatic and show absolutely no signs of any sickness whatsoever. They just tested positive.
And they're knocking on wood, 0 deaths reported in Pike County. So that 737 is the what does that 737 mean, Mike?
I don't know. I'm not looking at your numbers.
Maybe that's the people tested in Pike County, Alabama. I'm not positive on that, but those are some local figures that. And let's see, I haven't seen the individual figures, and we'll come over here and see if we can find them. Individual Pike County figures, and I don't have those statewide figures. What I'm saying, and we'll get those later on. Mike, I was looking at Pike County; they're going up now to 82. To my knowledge. No, I haven't even heard of anybody even being hospitalized. What do you think?
I would imagine somebody out of the 82 had probably been hospitalized, but I don't know. We'd have to get Jason Reeves on or something.
The hospital doesn't give out that information, and rightfully so. I can understand it. But again, we're looking at these figures, and looks like nationwide, Mike. Do you feel like we're going to go all the way over 100,000?
I mean, it looks that way. I mean, I don't see if the numbers keep on, if it's over 2,000 a day, which, I mean, some people are predicting over 3,000 a day in deaths.
Boy.
I think if it keeps on going the way it's going, it's definitely going to be the case. But I'm more interested to see, as far as the cases, the testing now, from what I've read and what I've seen, on television, I mean, we're testing more people than ever. So there's going to be a lot of cases just because they're testing so many people. So,
and they haven't made testing very easy. I mean, a lot of people don't want to have that done, and they just want to.
It's supposed to be something that you can get at the drugstores now that can test you, and you can find out within 45 minutes.
Well, I hope that's the case, and I hope that's what we'll do. But this, were they sticking it up your nose or your throat? Well, how were they?
I think there's something more. I don't think the original thing was the swabs and.
Yeah, that's right.
Up your nose. I think there's a little bit something.
Is that the most accurate figures? There's been a lot of question about the accuracy of the test. What do you think about that? Do you know anything about that?
I mean, I'm just hearing what you're hearing. That certain tests are better than other tests. I mean, there's got to be something out there though that these presidents from universities are hearing that makes them feel like June is a good time to open.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I wanted to open as soon as anybody, but I wanted it to be. I don't want 2,400 people a day being dying from this disease, and we want to start football.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with, this is, definitely affecting the elderly community. I mean, I listened to a doctor the other day. They said the majority of the people they had that had died were, in their 80s with existing health conditions.
And I'm sure that's the case in a lot of ways. And
you also have, unfortunately, it's hit the, Hispanic and African American community really hard, Native American community very hard. So, it's one of those type things that, I would be freaking out every day of my life if this was affecting kids.
Yeah, I know it.
I would be going crazy. I have a 3 and 2-year-old, and
Yeah, that's right. And you can't take that for granted, though, you know.
But luckily, I've talked to pediatricians. We talked to our pediatrician down here, and then talked to Jay Wiley, who's a pediatrician down in Mobile. He's one of our neighbors in Creighton. I saw him over the weekend, and he was talking about how it really has no effect. Under most of the time would be young people, which is great in our situation. I mean, we're already back in school down here. My kids have been in school 3 straight days down here.
I mean, now is this regular schools? Is this public schools or what?
No, I mean it's a preschool, but I mean
yeah, I got you.
It's a big church down here in Point Washington.
Yeah.
Is where they go to school. I mean preschool.
Beautiful area. You're right.
It's right there on the bay. So I mean, it's been a blessing for my wife and I to go back to normal.
Yeah, you're right. No question about it. I
mean, they get home from school every day, and I tell my wife, I say, let's throw them in the bathtub, and we throw them in the bathtub and bathe them as soon as they get home.
Yeah. Is that what everybody does? Is that the?
As far as just germs and stuff like that, we're trying to make sure
they're sweet little children.
Clean from school.
Exactly right. Of course, again, 82 confirmed for the virus in Pike County, Alabama, and that's going up every day. It was 78 that just didn't go up but for 5. But if you haven't been tested, if you feel like you've had the virus and it's gone away, or do you feel like you still have things that are considered dangerous, considering the virus, please call your local doctor, and he'll tell you which way to go and what to do, and also that telephone, what I call the 1-8 the hotline for Troy and Pike County. Is that number is 670-5409. If you have any questions about the virus, call 670-5409. I called them yesterday. They'll be there from 8 o'clock a.m. this morning till 4 p.m. and then sometimes even 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Call that number if you've got questions concerning the virus, 670-5409. And they'll give you information what to do. Most people say contact your doctor, but gosh, if everybody started contacting the doctor, they would be overwhelmed with calls. Whichever way is easiest for you. If you've got easy access to your doctor, evidently you do, don't you? You have easy access to your doctor, Mike?
Do I? I mean, not anymore. I mean, my doctor's in Birmingham, Alabama.
No, but for your children down there,
yeah, a pediatrician,
yeah, and of course, we're talking about the hotline, the Troy Regional Medical Center hotline, 670-5409 is the place I would call if I was having a fever, or if I was having, even aches and pains, if I was having maybe some chest problems, breathing problems.
They say now that you lose your sense of smell and taste.
Well,
headaches is another big thing now.
It is.
A lot of people are experiencing headaches. Of course, the fever of 102.
Yeah.
It's just like yesterday. I was watching. They had the big Gulf Coast Jam. It's Labor Day weekend down here in September, and it's at Pier Park, and the new mayor and I guess one of the executives is putting on the event, and they're going to have 30,000 people there.
Oh,
and,
no.
The headliner is going to be Brad Paisley, Luke Bryan, and then Southern rock band Leonard Skinner.
Oh, man.
It's going to be playing that event. So 30,000 people are going to be there, and they've already said that they're going to test everybody that walks in the gate with a thermometer, and if you have a temperature over 100.4, you will not be allowed in the gates.
100.4?
Yeah.
Boy, that's big time fever right there. I would have thinking it'd be 102. It's 104.
100.4.
100.4. That's still, golly, that's high right there, man.
Not 104, but 100.4.
Oh, 100.4. All right, instead of 98.8.
They said anybody with temperature higher than that would not be allowed into the actual vet. So they're going to be testing everybody. You know, if they feel like they're sick, they won't be able to come into the vet. And then, it's just one of those things where, you got more and more stuff like that going on that people are trying to,
That's right. Why in the world? And this is the new mayor of Panama City Beach, and he's in that business. He's in the entertainment business, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the head guy. His name's Mark Shelton.
Oh, gosh. Oh, me. I found it right now. Thank you.
You can't, though. I mean, that's why I don't want anybody to come out and cancel football right now. You can't do it because you don't know what it's going to be like another month from now.
We don't. Let me put you on hold, man. I can pick up this call coming in. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, it's Will Matthews.
Will, let me bring in Mike, too. Will Matthews calling in from Ozark or Dothan this morning. Okay, let's go with the pickup here. 1, 1, 1. And 1, 1, 1. There we go. We got both of you. Is that right? Hello.
I'm here.
You got me.
And, of course, got Will Matthews, our attorney. He's listening in every morning so to make sure we're not saying the wrong thing. We're saying the right thing. Good morning, Will. How's everything?
Doing good.
Are you still under your self-quarantine?
I am, but I'm at Laguna Beach right now.
Oh, you're still out at the Yellow House?
Oh, yeah.
Mike, ride by there and see Will this morning at the Yellow House.
Yeah, I could ride by there and go to the carousel and then go to Thomas's Donuts.
And Will, are you sitting up top of your house there? You got a big balcony up top, don't you?
Right now, I just got a cup of coffee for McDonald's, and I'm headed to Thomas's.
All right, now let me tell you something that's good, and I never did it before, but it's the same price. Have you ever gotten those strawberry-filled donuts?
Well, I don't eat strawberries.
Boy, those strawberry-filled donuts are good, and boy, I love them. Yeah, I tell you what.
I tried calling ahead, and the phone's been busy all morning, so I guess they don't.
Yeah, well, you know what? Especially in the when they're at their high peak, and that's when people are lined up all the way across the street. I call in all the time, and even whether I call in or not, I go to the one that said, "Did you get my phone call? We've been trying to call you all morning." He says, "What do you want?" That's that side window. You know what I mean? Some people are saying, you sorry thing. What now?
I think I read on Facebook, Will's got another grandkid on the way. I tell you, your son's having a lot of kids.
Wait a minute. He's already got 2, and he's working on 3?
He will have 3 that are...
Will, that boy's gone crazy, hasn't he?
He must be doing well financially, working for Trump.
Yeah, of course.
He's got a good job.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you this. Let me say something real personal, Will. Did he ask permission from Trump that he could have another child?
Do what now?
Did he ask permission from Trump if he could have another child?
He doesn't talk to Trump that much.
Are we going to one day get to the maximum of 1 per family like they do in China?
I don't think we're going to have that.
We're not going to have that.
Will Matthews, our attorney, calling in this morning, and of course, and he's got his in-laws. Are they still there from Washington, D.C.?
My daughter-in-law's mother's there, and then Dave and his family. Now, my daughter that's the lawyer in Ozark, she's coming down this afternoon for the rest of the week.
Well, you got a house full, don't you?
Yeah, my other daughter in Mississippi's coming Friday with her husband.
Oh man, I hear she's a beauty, man. I've heard she's a beautiful lady.
You got Captain Anderson's back open at 25%, so that means they can have 200 people in there having dinner, so y'all can always go there.
And I'm sure Will's got a connection there. You know, I've always been told, my good friend Al Cook. Do you know Al Cook, Will, from Union Springs, Auburn, Opelika? Do you know him?
No, I don't know.
Well, I tell you, every year he goes up to the connoisseur, or whatever you call it, the person, taking care of the lines at Captain Anderson's, and he'll slip him $100 bill, and he always gets to go straight on in. That's all you got to do is just give him $100, and you can go through the lines. That's
I'll just wait.
Well, that's the truth. A good tip here or there always helps, though, doesn't it?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
Now, Will,
I'm coming up on Thomas's, and there's a line. It's probably 20 people.
Yeah, it's not.
They're spread out. They're spread out 6 feet apart, so it makes it look like there's a lot bigger line.
Have you ever ordered their donuts without the hole? I just say I want the donut without the hole. Have you ever done that?
They're called donut holes.
Well, what it is, this is without the hole now. It's just a donut.
They're called donut holes.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've never had that.
it's good. It's good. Everything's good at Thomas's, and I know you're having a good time.
Thomas has actually got a pretty good milkshake.
Yeah. Now, Will, let me ask you this. How many babies, with all these babies, are you getting any sleep? Babies crying all the time, isn't it?
No, they've been good.
Uh-huh.
Really have.
And now you going to fix breakfast for them this morning, eggs over light or scrambled eggs with bacon? You going to do that?
No, I've got some bacon for me, and they've got some oatmeal for the babies, and I'm bringing them coffee from McDonald's.
Well, all these single women are saying, golly, isn't he wonderful? Isn't he wonderful taking care of his family? And Will is family oriented as anybody in that, Will.
Tell them I'm available.
Will Matthews, yes.
I've got breaking news. Tua will not wear Dan Marino's 13 for the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa will wear number 1.
Wear number 1.
Playing for the Miami Dolphins. So there was speculation that maybe that number was going to come out of retirement, but let's say that's not going to be the case.
You boys do.
Hey, Michael, Dan Marino volunteered to let him come out of retirement, and Tua does not want to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, shoot, Marino's,
Yeah. Manning, Archie Manning said that he was the best passer of all time, Marino. Manning, come from Manning, that's a pretty good statement that Marino was the best passer in the history of football, what he said. But let me tell you this, the Say Hey Kid is 89 today. Y'all know who the Say Hey Kid was?
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid from Birmingham, Alabama, who was one of the all-time great players of all time. You boys don't even know what great baseball players were. Back in the mid-'60s, I've already listed 10, 15 names of the greatest players of the 50s and the 60s. Can y'all name any? And I'm gonna say bump, bump, bump.
What, the 50s and the 60s?
Yeah, or the mid-'60s. The mid-'60s. Name who that might be.
You had Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle, in fact. Right? No, I wouldn't say Maris was the greatest.
Yeah. Stan Musial.
I know he had the home run record, but I don't know if he'd be on this list.
Yeah, Stan the Man Musial.
Yeah, Musial, exactly.
Andy Koufax.
You're exactly right. Koufax.
Bob Gibson.
All right, now I left out Gibson, and I should have had him. All right, you've added one that I should have had, Gibson. He was a great player.
Harmon Killebrew.
Harmon Killebrew was another good one. Harmon Killebrew hit a lot of home runs mostly. His lifetime average, though, was just 255. Let me put you on hold. We got another call coming in. I'll put y'all on hold. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike, it's Max. How you doing?
Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. So we'll be bringing you in here in just a jiffy. Max, are you doing well?
Doing very well, Mike. Very well. Beautiful day. Hey, cool up here. We expecting 38 degrees tomorrow night.
Oh man, that is cool. Too cool. Especially if you're going to the beach.
Well, I live on the water, and that breeze coming in, so wind gusts stay up to 20 miles an hour off the water.
Yeah. All right. Let me bring you on home here. Bring these other guys on home here. They're gonna go here and here. All right. We got who all we got on? We got Max Howell, and we got who? Will, is this you?
No, you got me.
Got Mike Amos and Max Howell on. Max Howell.
Will Matthews is going to get donuts.
Yeah,
So he
exactly. Mike, let me ask you this now, seriously. Now, you came out of the Birmingham market, and of course you know as much about Birmingham people as anybody. Max Howell rates right there with one of the great football analysts in the country, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I used to hear Max driving home from work many a time. Yeah, many a day.
Just think how many women fell in love with Max and that voice, that wonderful voice. Did you have a hard time keeping the women away when you were in Atlanta, Max?
Mike, that's why I'm single.
Hey, but Max, did you ever have them call in and want to talk about something else other than ball?
Off the air, yes.
Yeah. I called Max one day and I said, Max, this is Mike Amos. You remember me when you were at Troy? You know, I was that little old boy running around when you were playing at Troy. Hey, you remember me, Mike Amos, Max, from Troy. Wait a minute now. I don't want a big orange and I don't want a moon pie. My name is Marcel Ledbetter, and I'm going to come over to Atlanta with my chainsaw and I'm going to cut down everything until I get to your office.
Man, Mike, I tell you, I've had so many responses back in the last few days, particularly from that Atlanta market. It was almost unreal. Again, and a lot of those comments like that have come back to me, particularly when we first started. Because remember, we were the first sports talk radio.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And here's the thing that most folks don't know: that was the flagship station for Cumulus Radio, which ended up we had about 2 or 3 stations to begin with. When I left there in 2004, it was over 500 radio stations on that network. And
another thing that I do know...
Max just celebrated a birthday. I was wishing him happy birthday on Facebook, though.
Wait a minute. That means, Max, you're 90 today?
That's and holding. I'm 90 and holding.
Willie Mays is 89. Max, you're 80 today, or how old are you?
I was 80 yesterday on Monday.
Well, that's great, man. More power to you. And, of course, Max Howell, well-known figure, and of course, give you his background. He was born and raised in Prattville, Alabama, and grew up in Prattville, and then of course he ended up going to Auburn to play football, and he saw some greener grass on other across the way, and transferred to Troy, where he went to school with such greats as Jim Tompkins and Bubba Merritt. John Fairclough, the great John Fairclough. We'd love to hear from him today.
So when you went to Auburn, you were playing for Suge, I guess?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of guy was Suge Jordan?
He was laid back, man. He was, unlike Coach Bryant and a lot of other big, high-profile coaches around the country at that time, Michael, he was laid back, and they had their own even then. And what Auburn did in those early days, you remember that they were just coming off a national championship team in '57.
Yeah.
And they were able to get a different caliber. That was primarily a farming engineering school. And they were able to get a lot of rural kids that Alabama didn't want to take because they were already a little more, in their eyes, they were more sophisticated.
Yeah. Well, let's date you a little bit, Max. Where were you in? Of course, Zeke. You're talking about country boy. Zeke Smith was about as country as you could get. And what was that little town on the other side of Selma that he was from?
He was I believe
Uniontown. He was from Uniontown, Alabama. To this day, in this day and time, would anybody sign a kid from Uniontown, Alabama?
That's very true.
They would not do it.
That was where Auburn built that. I mean, you go back, I give you a list, Bobby Wasden,
Yeah.
I just go down the list of great players that came out of the
yeah.
time, but Auburn found a way mainly through their agricultural school. They dealt with all the farmers.
That's
all
right.
The state and in the South. And
Bobby Washington was from Georgiana, Greenville, Georgiana. Went to high school in Greenville. And, now...
You got to remember, Mike Prattville had less than 2,000 people.
Yeah, you're right. It was a small town.
We were a very small town, yes.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Zeke Smith, of course, Auburn, those two names, now Tucker Frederickson came later, but Zeke Smith and Jackie Burkett, those were household names, and they were linemen. Burkett was a center and later on played for the Colts, and I don't know if Zeke Smith ever played pro ball, but were you there when those two guys were there?
Absolutely.
They were like celebrities, weren't they? They were just country boys, weren't they?
You got to remember, in those days, freshmen didn't play. See, so freshmen were we were the dummies. I took Zeke won the Outland Award, and I took credit for that because I was his blocking dummy.
Well, and you know what? And if y'all sat down in front of a bench press, you probably would out bench press Zeke Smith, wouldn't you think?
Now he was a little bit bigger, Mike. That was a program that was really off.
They had another guy named Westrom. Do you remember a guy named Westrom?
Yeah. I'm trying to think now. I remember the name, but see, he didn't jump out.
Jackie Burkett was originally from Andalusia, if you didn't know. Did you know that?
Yeah.
He went to the 10th grade in Andalusia, and then his family moved to Fort Walton.
Fort Walton Beach, that's exactly.
I mean, when you're growing up in Alabama back then, were you an Alabama or are you an Auburn fan, or you just didn't really care where you went?
Michael, you got to understand, my dad played basketball in Alabama.
That's right. So you're an Alabama fan.
My great uncle was Dixie Howell.
Oh no! Wait a minute! You don't even know where Dixie Howell was from, Max.
He's Hampton, Alabama.
No, he was from Hartford.
Actually, he didn't live in Hartford. He lived.
But I'm being facetious. But he was from Hartford, and Early Wynn, the great baseball Hall of Fame pitcher, was from. And that name Early Wynn could have been put in this group of. I've listed the 10 or 12 or 15 greatest players of all time in the mid '60s, and Mike's done a pretty good job of naming some of them. But the reason I jumped all over that was that little Hartford, Alabama, Max, not only had Dixie Howell, who was your cousin. Now, first of all, I'm going to start calling you Will Matthews before long. Now, everybody, you kid to everybody and whatever. Now, and Max now says he's kid to Dixie Howell. But you had Dixie Howell, you had Early Wynn, you had let's see, Dixie Howell, Early Wynn, and Tom Bryan.
He was later.
Yeah, he was later, but he was from Hartford. He's a great guy. Did you ever know Tom Bryan very well?
Hey, Bill Russell was a guy we took out.
Oh, yeah, Bill Russell was really good. Hey, I'd put Bill Russell up against all of them.
I would too.
He was tough, man, I tell you. But another guy that came out of Hartford was named Bill Ross, who played guard on the great Auburn basketball team.
Right.
Bill Ross came out of there. That you've heard of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Have you ever heard of that? The basketball team at Auburn, they were so good. They had Poe Devil Hart and those guys from Eufaula.
See, I don't remember all the names. See, like you.
Yeah.
That's,
but let me tell you this: back then, Max, when you transferred to Troy, Auburn was loaded to the hilt, and they could sign 60 people if they wanted to, or maybe some.
Yeah. Well, it was like close to 100 in my signing class.
And what I'm saying, they might sign the 10 best quarterbacks in the country so that Alabama wouldn't get them, or Alabama would sign it.
How many guys could you dress back then in a game?
Well, let me tell you what the preseason, Michael, was the tryout camp. Out of that whole, I tracked that bunch even after I left. I stayed in touch with a lot of those guys. And out of that, I think it's 88, 89 in that class, I think 11 or 12 of them never graduated. So, I mean, it was an exit. They signed them, you remember the stories that Coach Bryant used to send kids just so that nobody.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know, he took scholarships away from swimming and everything else to get the football.
Well, you know, a good example was Joe Kelly from Ozark. Joe Kelly could have started for, including Auburn. Joe Kelly could have started for anybody in the SEC.
Absolutely. But he wanted to go to Alabama.
That's right.
See, so I mean that was different. The rules were different. That's the only answer I have now. Is when we start talking about that, rules were different, and you know when you start comparing coaches who could do what, the rules were so different in those days as compared to today. That's where you got to give those programs that are ultra successful, like Saban is at Alabama now. You got to understand he's made that adjustment to the current rule situation. Who knows what the previous coaches historically could have done if they had to work on the same rules.
I'm thinking when you were at Auburn, and of course did they move you to center or guard? Where were you playing, center or guard?
I was a guard.
All right. Well, you remember this name then, Bob Scarborough from Troy. You remember Bob Scarborough?
Absolutely, I do. Yes, I do.
That's Peggy Scarborough's brother, if you don't know that, Ken Cox.
I knew Peggy. I knew Peggy better than I did Bob.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't realize that Bob Scarborough came out of Troy High School, played center or guard and was a captain of the Auburn football team when he was there, I think.
Yep, it was.
And another name that a lot of people might not realize from Troy was Hadaway. Do you remember the Hadaway, Charlie Hadaway and Dan Hadaway? Did you ever know Dan?
I didn't know Dan.
Yeah, but you knew who Charlie Hadaway was, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. Charlie Hadaway was the other back. The other back, the right halfback, his name was Bobby Marlowe. So Bill Clemson coached both of them at Troy High School. Hadaway went to Auburn, and then, of course, the great Bobby Marlowe, who people still talk about how good he was, went to Alabama.
I don't think I ever knew that. So Clemson coached at Charles Henderson High School or Troy High School? That's what made him famous. What happened? Let me, Max, I might be wrong, but I'll tell you, he coached at Troy High School and went undefeated, I think, 2 years in a row, something like that. Then he went to South Florida, not Florida, but Florida Southern. He went and coached at Florida Southern. And then then Troy recruited him out of Florida Southern. Is that right, Max?
I think that's right, yeah. And here's what I'm trying to think. Was Earl Watson the athletic director then?
I think he came in during that time. I don't think they had an athletic director until.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
And could not. Let me tell you this. And he most of his laurels were in high school where he won all those games, but he had Hadaway and Marlowe. And, I've talked to people, and there are people over in Luverne, the sports, and some of those guys that played against Bobby Marlowe. They said it was almost, it was just a scary moment to have to try to tackle him, he said.
He was a man among boys, Mike. He was. I mean, nobody ever checked his birth certificate.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, it appeared from all his stats and the way he played that he was a year or two old.
Yeah, that's right. That he might have been 20 when he played.
Exactly right.
But of course, he was a household word at the University of Alabama, and I don't know exactly why I brought all this up, but with the old heydays of Auburn. I tell you another thing, Max. Watching these playback shows every afternoon, you would watch Coach Bryant opening up those golden flake potato chips and reaching over here. I'm doing it right here. It says Coach Bryant. I saw Bill Rice's mom and daddy yesterday. It was good to see him. He's eating potato chips and drinking that Coca-Cola. And and then, which was a fairly good playback show, but the WSFA was a clear picture. I don't know if you realized that or not back when we were growing up. It was a clear picture. And their playback show was really, really good with Carl Stevens and a guy named Leroy Paul. You remember that name, Leroy Paul?
I didn't know Leroy, but I knew.
Yeah, Carl Stevens. And they would be doing the playback show, and they would show the whole thing. It was real fast. The footage was real fast. And buddy, if you couldn't be an Auburn fan that's watching that, something was wrong. So back then it was hard to not be for Auburn too, you know, until.
See, I wonder many times, Mike, you bring that all up. I bring that to talk to Bill Rice Jr.
Yeah.
Bill stayed at the Rice family stayed in Prattville. See, we'd have one going to Auburn, one going to Alabama.
That's right.
Off the same identical situation.
Yeah.
Of course, that they moved when he was, I guess, in upper elementary school. I can't remember.
That's right. So you remember Bill Rice? Was he tall? Was he a tall guy when he was young?
He was tall then. Oh yeah, he was taller than everybody by head and shoulders.
Exactly.
He graduated about 6'7", or 8 or something like that. He was a huge guy.
Of course, you had to travel over that old bridge from Prattville to Montgomery. You remember that old bridge is still standing.
Absolutely. Hey, that's where I learned to swim, Mike, jumping off that bridge in the river.
Are you serious? Wait a minute. You're not fixing to say you jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge, aren't you? Is your name Billy Joe McAllister?
Well, that was in Mississippi. This was in Dalton County, Alabama.
Well, I tell you what, hey, it was a lot harder to get to Montgomery from Prattville back then, though, wasn't it?
Well, it was, but, you know,
Did they have 82 out of Prattville going to Tuscaloosa back then?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that was a main highway. That
two,
31 going north.
Yeah, 231. Where did 231 hook on to back then, Max?
Well, we didn't even know that.
Yeah, it went through Sylacauga. 231 went through Sylacauga, didn't it?
Right. But see, we didn't get that far east.
Yeah.
Remember, we went 31 north. We got to Montgomery, and then, of course, we went to an Alabama game, went to Tuscaloosa, went across over to Auburn, and that's about as far away as we ever went.
When you went to Montgomery, did you ever go to Oak Park?
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, they had a Ferris wheel and a whip, and
yeah, that was a weekend. They had a zoo over there.
That's right. They had a zoo, had a Monkeyville and all that, you know. And then they had the ice cream truck and all that.
Yeah,
But
I never understood around Prattville. Isn't there around Prattville another pond level?
Yeah, it is on the other side north.
Above Prattville, and then there's a pond level before Montgomery.
Yeah, but that's a little. It didn't even have a Harley. It didn't even have a traffic. Didn't even have a caution light. Didn't have a stop sign.
Yeah.
It was just a 3 or 4 store and 3 or 4 houses.
And now, you know, the fast-growing area now is Marbury. Marbury High School is a growing school north of Prattville. And, of course, Prattville has grown so much, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't build another public school there. What do you think?
Well, they're the largest high school enrollment-wise in the state of Alabama.
Yeah. You know, two good friends of mine.
They got a big Prattville Christian school, too. They play public school.
Oh, yeah, no question. And that also that Targa Academy. But two good friends of mine won state championships at Prattville. Can you name
Bill Clark was one.
Okay, but now Bill, this
He's going farther back than that.
I'm going farther back, but they were good friends of mine. One of them, I think, to me, was one of the best high school coaches ever. And of course, you'll probably agree with me, Max. And then another one was a backup quarterback at Troy that a lot of people don't realize won a state championship at Prattville.
Well, you know any of these names?
Yes, I know the names. One of them was Bobby Wasden. And did DuBose win a state championship at Prattville?
No.
Jamie DuBose?
No, Mike DuBose. Mike DuBose was the head coach at Prattville.
Coach, I think they were runner-up or something.
Yeah.
Won the championship. When
You coached this guy, and I'm going to give you the name, but if you can't remember it, how about a guy named John Glasscock?
I remember John.
Do you know he won a state championship at Prattville High School?
He did. Yes, he did.
John, of course, he was a backup quarterback at Troy, and I don't think y'all kept him. You know what I mean? Y'all didn't keep many. You were cruel. I remember sitting in as a freshman, sitting in the Holiday Inn drinking a beer, and you and your coaching staff was sitting there drinking a beer.
I'm going to tell you something, Mike. If we sit there, and folks probably don't realize, and again, it goes back to the way the rules were.
Yeah, I know it.
We were NAIA going to division.
That's right.
We were in that window, and we
Yeah.
had a chance to choose the rules we played by.
Yeah.
And we chose the ones that was best beneficial to
Yeah.
us.
You know the big difference, and you might have remembered me. I wasn't a bad high school player, but we played against Carroll, and you were coaching down there and so forth. But the big difference in us and now was working out with weights. We never touched a weight growing up. If I was probably 6'1" and weighed 175 or 180 pounds soaking wet. If I'd had weights, I would have weighed over 200 and would have been much better football player, but we didn't even know what weights were.
Very true.
But you did, and you didn't share it with anybody. I mean, were you the only guy at Prattville High School that worked out with weights?
Yes, I was. By far.
I mean, and you walked around looking like Hercules, or what's the old guy's name that was advertised in all the magazines back then? What was his name?
That's what they keep saying.
He keeps what?
What was his name? Joe. Go ahead.
He started working out with weights because somebody kicked sand in his face.
That's right.
What was his name?
He had his own comic book.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not. I know this sounds funny, but that was a huge difference. Carroll High School, back when you coached, you taught them. I think you're the reason they started working out with weights. They were working out with weights before Enterprise was working out with weights.
I think I put the program in those.
I think you did.
I mean, y'all didn't even have dumbbells, Dad?
No, didn't even have dumbbells.
We didn't have anything. We didn't. People didn't know. In fact, when I came back to Troy, one of the first things Billy did was he sent me to the University of Nebraska. They had the best organized weight program at the college level in the country at that time.
Who is that now? Who is that?
Nebraska.
Oh yeah, Nebraska. Yeah, no question.
They were way ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. All right.
I went 2 summers out there and stayed a week.
I'm gonna throw out a name to you. And this guy came out of Robert E. Lee High School in Montgomery, did not play football, but was a weightlifter. And you're exactly right, Charles Couch. You're exactly right. Do you remember him? And he was bigger and stronger than most all the football players. But one thing he did, I don't know if you remember, this is how important working out weights was growing up or back then. The weight room was upstairs at Wright Hall. You remember that? And he dropped some weights, and it went through the floor and the ceiling downstairs. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Remember though, Dick Costes had actually created that.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the football program.
That's right.
Teach from. He taught kinesiology.
That's right.
He used the weight training program to show you. And of course, that was the beginning of weight programs all over the country. Then the aggressive people took that and put it in athletics.
I had a cousin that got hurt, and he played for Capitol Heights in Montgomery. You remember how good a junior high program that was for a long time.
Well,
and he was a good player, but he got hurt his back. But he started working out with weights, and he was so much bigger and stronger than all the football players. But it's amazing that from the 60s on the 60s and maybe as far as the mid-60s, that weightlifting was not a big part of it. And just think of all those great players that came out of Robert E. Lee and Lanier, and just think how good they would have been if they had a weight program.
Yeah, let me tell you, the ones that came out of high school that had what we in those days we just call it the natural strength and the country boy style that just grew up.
Charles Atlas, before it leaves my computer, the guy's name was Charles Atlas that you read those magazines and nobody else got them.
That's very true. But those guys that we recruited when we first got to Troy were those kids that had not been on weight programs, but they just were naturally strong.
Yeah, exactly.
And guys, I'm gonna tell you, there's a definite difference in some people's body than others. The genetic thing is you can't define that now. Hardly and make a separation because of all the high end weight programs. Yeah. But in those days, it was easy to define those guys. Of course, go back to when we got to Troy in '65. We used the spring as a tryout camp. Every day this was a tryout.
Oh yeah.
We started off with 100 to 150
in
January, and Billy tell them the last 40 standing scholarship in August.
Yeah.
We worked out 4 days a week.
Yeah.
January to August.
Well, I tell you what, I remember that well, those tryouts, and the guys, they put a guy named, this guy from, where was he from? Baymonette somewhere. And they put him up head to head. He weighed 240 pounds and put him head to head with one of these tryout guys that weighed 170, 180 pounds. And I mean, he would just bust their helmets. I mean, it was so unfair. It was pitiful.
You see, that was one of the reasons we went to took so many transfers. Billy already understood that we were in a small school like that. We were not capable to compete with Alabama and Auburn and Georgia and Memphis and all the schools in the South. So what we would do, we'd get on the phone, and he had a great rapport with a lot of coaches, and we'd find those kids that either had gotten married, because in those days the SEC did not take married players, or kids that got there wanted to get married. And Ralph Adams.
One of them was Leroy Jordan. He was one of the very few that let play, didn't he?
In those days, what they would do, they provided the girls, the wives with a job, they built married apartments, and we'd scholarship the guy. That was the way we got him. And we got, that we didn't sign many high school kids.
I remember there was a different player, and they were all coming from other schools, and of course, you even places like Chattanooga, y'all were able to get several good players out of. Danny Grant came out of Chattanooga, and Buck Nees came out of Chattanooga.
That's right.
And
fully experienced that years later when they played Central State of Ohio, and they were NIA.
Oh,
and
man.
With about 4 guys that were, first-round NFL draft picks.
Do you know that team might have been one of the best teams that Troy ever played? That was a very good team.
That was the greatest game I've ever seen that ended in a tie.
Yeah, that's right. And we were so lucky to get in a tie. And the great quarterback was out of Mobile.
He hit Kilo late in that game. Simmons did to tie it.
Kelvin Simmons. And you know what? He's not in our Hall of Fame. Who could you tell that there was not? He's as worthy of that as anybody I know.
Yeah, for a guy that only played 2 years, no doubt.
Well, he transferred from Alabama, I want to say Auburn.
He originally signed with Alabama and then went to junior college.
Yeah, went to junior college and became one of the great quarterbacks of all time at Troy, no question about it. We've got Max Howell on our line.
Looks like they're going to have your Hall of Fame banquet, Max. I've heard them advertising it the other day.
Yeah, they are. I got a notice last week, and thank goodness for that. They go open the campus up. I think they're going to actually start opening the campus up in early June.
That's right.
I believe, I'm almost sure, from the words I've gotten from some of the people down there, that I think the coaching staffs are meeting, get ready to bring the kids in for maybe the second term of summer school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hearing an interview with Chip Lindsey the other day, and he mentioned that the coaches and the Sun Belt have been talking, and they would like to at least get 8 weeks to have their guys ready for the season. They said worst case scenario they could probably do 6 weeks.
Yeah, I don't see how it would take that longer time. Do you, Max?
A lot of guys missed the spring too.
Yeah.
See, I think that's what in their mind they got to make up for, and they got to get them back to discipline.
Conditioning too.
These are 18 to 20-year-olds, and they think they're bulletproof.
Let me tell you how they're gonna. The only way they can have fans in the stands, in my opinion, Max, is to do it like a airport. You walk in and they scan you, and then you either hear a buzz or you don't hear a buzz. I really believe that they're going to have to do all the exits like that. It's going to cost money. It's going to cost money. Only the big boys probably can afford to do it, probably, in a big way. And I feel like that they've got to have a fail-safe deal where, everybody that walked through those stadium doors had to be free of the virus.
Mike, that's the biggest concern right now. I just read this morning in our morning paper up here, there were articles from John Cohen at Mississippi State and Keith Carter at Ole Miss, and that's what the focus is on. It's not about the team. The team's going to be ready to play.
Yeah, you're right.
I can tell you that right now. But it's what the crowd control looks like. They've already gone. There'll be no paper tickets, mostly in the SEC, particularly and I don't know why Troy's going to that or not, but everything will be electronic. There'll be no paper concession stand. If you want to buy something concession stand, you got to swipe a card. They're going to reduce the person-to-person contact down to a minimum. That's the only way they're going to be able to put a crowd in. And I'm not sure they're still not going to use the mask. And I think they're going to probably limit the numbers that can go to a stadium early in the season anyway.
I would see, maybe every 2 or 3 seats, you have that kind of separation between the person next to you. When you think that they'll try to do, which means a lot less people will actually see the game, but you at least have some people seeing the game.
Let's see, how do you do this, Mike? How do you determine the ticket sales? Because people, Troy's they got their season ticket out.
Oh yeah, they sure do. Yeah.
All these people.
I was thinking like it would have to be people that have been more like Todd Pride. Some of the people that have been.
True. That's where they'll.
That's right. You know what? You're exactly right. They'll do it by how much money you give.
Yeah, I would have to think those people would be first.
That's exactly right. And
when you have a lot of people that have luxury boxes that involved in Tuscaloosa and in Auburn.
Yeah. I guarantee you, you're right. It'll be first priorities, just like they are with ticket sales.
But let me ask you this, guys: how do they determine where they put 20 people in those boxes or more in some of them? How do you determine, the contact with the crowd like that? How do you control that? Because those are private boxes. How do you control that as opposed to people buying tickets who walk in the gate?
No question about it. We're going to take a short break here. We'll be right back with more of Today in L.A. Have a great morning.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
A personal touch. A high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
What are you doing? Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Little Caesars, one of the, there's a better deal out there than Little Caesars. I was riding down the road the other day, and I had not eaten, so I pull in, walk in the door, and everybody's real conscious, of being
why are you walking in the door? They have a drive-through.
Well, no, Little Caesar doesn't have a drive-through. At least I haven't seen one.
It has a drive-through on the side.
Well, I haven't ever seen a drive-through, but you go in and you pick up that pizza and you're out, and nobody's touched it. But when you open it up to eat it, and but it's the best deal money-wise, $5.30-something for a hot pizza that's delicious and ready to go. And of course, all of their products are very good. Want to mention Premier, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram trucks. Want to say hello to my good friend Jason this morning. And Jason, I appreciate your kindness yesterday with me, and I appreciate what you've done for our community. And Jason Gregory, the man that moved here from Columbus, Georgia, he bought the dealership, the Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram truck dealership, and he's selling vehicles like you would not believe right now at his store on on Highway 231 in Troy. And Max, you can get around. I've got a brand new truck, and it's a Ram truck.
I rode it the last time I was
That's
there.
right. And hey, listen, and I got it at rock bottom price at Premier. You know, they're dealing like very few people.
Well, hey, look, the automobile market right now, people are interested in buying. Now's the time to buy.
Exactly right.
They got deals. They got financing deals. They got you. And if you don't want to finance, if you're gonna pay cash, they'll cut the price to the lot.
That's what I was going to say. If you do have cash, boy, you can do a lot with it in this day and time, don't you think?
That's right. No doubt. I know we're dealing like that up here right now.
And quickly,
What I'm seeing more of those Teslas cars down here that you actually charge up. They have charging stations at some of these big resorts down there.
you know, hey, Max, listen, I know you're saying under your breath, oh, all you yuppies. Mike, you're just like one of all the rest of those yuppies. You think you got to have something new.
Hey, I tell you what they have down here that's really exciting. They have electric bikes, and like literally, you'll be driving down the road, and you pass a bike, and the next thing you know, the guy will be right on your bumper, and he goes about 25 miles per hour on a bicycle.
Boy, and that's one of my hang-ups, man.
They come flying by my house live on the air. I'm on the air right now. I see bicycles and people
A bicycle does not supposed to be on the same surface that a automobile is. A bicycle, automobile should come first.
These things go 25 miles an hour. They fly.
Max, how many times have you said that under your breath? What is that bicycle doing on the same?
And what the dangerous part, guys, up here, we got signs that you got to give them 3 feet. The signs will tell you, and that means you got to get over the middle of the road.
Oh, yeah.
Road. So what if you meet the car? You better stop.
I know it, no question about it.
Go in the head.
Yeah, I tell you what they allow down here, which is ridiculous on the roads, is golf carts are everywhere. So,
Oh, yeah.
literally, if you get behind a golf cart, you're talking about a traffic jam.
And let me tell you this, that is a dangerous vehicle right there. Hey, have you ever seen any seat belts on a golf cart? I have never seen any. And I guarantee you, I've seen people in my neighborhood riding around with a little baby, 2-year-old baby in his arm, and he got one hand on the steering wheel, and some young kid on a bicycle come and run into it. Just think of the dangers there.
Hey, the best parking at a Troy football game is a golf cart. They have a golf cart parking right behind the press box.
I use that. I hate to tell everybody, but I do use that.
Mike, you spoiled me because I know where to park behind the alumni house over there.
That's right.
Put me in a golf cart and take it to the stadium.
Yeah, and of course, by you going into the Hall of Fame, they're going to have a big star next to your parking place.
Max is going to have that big ring. He's going to be scratching his nose all the time.
Yeah, exactly right. I'll tell you what, let me just say something about you, Max. You're a gentleman if there was one. Have you ever seen him lose his cool on this show, Mike? And he could, I'm sure, under his breath, he said, oh, that guy don't know what he's talking about. But, Max, you have as good a demeanor as anybody I know that's been where you've been.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Mike. It's a lot of things that in life that you learn the hard way. I was raised up pretty hard, pretty tough, and came along. But I learned along the way. My dad was a life salesman, and I followed him around. He was a little guy. He was 5'9", 165 when he played basketball. He died at 85. He was 5'9", 165. But he had a great demeanor, personality about him. He had a photographic memory. And I'm fortunate enough, I think I inherited some of that. But I watched him and learned how to handle people.
Well, I'm going to tell you, back in those days, I could have been resentful. I mean, I came to Troy to play football on scholarship, and I was told that I wasn't big enough, strong enough, or fast enough, and I understood that. And you respected me, though. Every time I saw you, you were very conscious of me and my what I was doing, and of course what I did. I became a young coach after 2 years of college football, and worked with Jim Tompkins, who's a very good friend of yours. Learned a lot of football.
Well, Mike, I think you learn it. If you're gonna be in the people business, and that's what we chose to do. People being the people, you better never burn those bridges. You never know. What's the old adage? The guy that you step on the fingers on the way up.
Exactly right.
You might be kissing his backside on the way down. So it's one of those things that the guys that really, I think, make a difference in a lot of people's lives are those people that respect everybody they meet. Well,
of course, you're still in the business after all these years, and I think most anybody would understand that about you and anybody that's ever been around you. And again, from the top of the sports world in the Southeast America, you were operating out of Atlanta, and the only bad thing about it, though, I don't know where you got any sleep, because you were on the air probably at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then after you got off the air that afternoon or whatever, you had to go to some bar or some gathering place for the radio station.
You had to go to remotes for promotions.
Yeah, promotions and all that. You never, like you said just a while ago, you sure couldn't have a wife and have that kind of job, could you?
You really could, and I was blessed to have two acts in my career, but it was one of those things where my chosen occupation, both as a coach and in the radio business, just demanded that time, and I was driven to the point where I couldn't go to work at 8 o'clock and get off at 5 and come home.
No question about it. But it had to have been fun now. It had to have been fun because you were a celebrity. See, the people that were listening to him more than anybody were the people that stuck in the traffic outside the door. Now, back then, the traffic wasn't near like it is now, but at the same time, though, there was probably 100,000 people in the traffic every afternoon when you were on the air. So you were the only thing they could turn to. I got to listen to Max Howell for an hour before I get home.
Well, guys, I'm gonna tell you, I just had my 80th birthday, and I'm still doing 4 or 5 radio shows a week now, getting ready to come back into this fall. I got 2 businesses I'm a partner in. I still travel sometimes 1,000 miles a week and drive, but that just tells you I can't sit at home. I can't go away. Somebody said, "Won't you retire?" They put me in a box, and put me in the ground if I stop.
But, we laugh and everything, and, and of course, when football's out of season and you can't talk football, and because of this virus, you ought to be able to send in and ask for some help from the government.
Well, fortunately, Mike, I hadn't had to do that. I've taken my time and, we've made my contacts and stuff like that. We're actually, guys, I'm going to tell you, we're working 6 and 8 hours, 10 hours a day right now.
Yeah.
Rebuilding 2 new companies to get ready for the surge we think is coming economically over the next 6 months.
Yeah, I got you.
I dealt with guys in Birmingham yesterday, in Memphis, Tennessee, Chicago, Illinois, trying to rebuild or build. We merged 2 companies together on a distribution level, and we broadened our base.
Yeah.
We started off in the CBD business. We're going into full pharmaceutical business now.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, too, and of course there's so many things out there, and anybody innovative, it's an innovative man out there now, and no telling what you can come up with in this day and time. But the thing that scares me is there are a lot of people that are drawing what we call their pennies, that don't really want to go back to work because they're making more money drawing the pennies than they were when they were working. Why would they want to go back?
Yeah.
Well, eventually that's going to run out. You're going to have a job eventually.
Yeah.
That's true. That's Mike.
That's only for 4 months that the majority of the people are getting that kind of money. Then it goes back to your.
And then at the same time, and don't get me wrong, I'm for these people that are doing that. I mean, they deserve it. But at the same time, we want them to be truthful about everything,
Well, you could go home tonight and watch the Korean Baseball League. That's ESPN is now playing Korean Baseball League games live on television every night, so we can start rooting for those teams.
Yeah. Exactly. Let me say something.
South Korea is the gold standard on what you were supposed to do with the coronavirus, apparently.
Yeah. And of course, we've got this, we're bickering back and forth with China and so forth, and of course, worlds and worlds and worlds of Chinese students go to American universities. You know what I can't understand is we have worlds and worlds and worlds and worlds of students coming in here from China. How often do you hear about there's worlds and worlds and worlds of students going from the United States to China? Have you ever wondered what the big difference was?
The majority of these Chinese students grow up learning other languages. They learn how to speak English.
And another thing about them, most of them...
people from the United States learning how to speak Chinese.
I had this said to me by a math professor at Troy University, was they almost intimidate the teacher because of their math skills. Their math skills are way higher than ours.
Well, that goes back to the public education system, Mike. That thing, in my opinion, has been going downhill for years and years. And we just accept that to go because all the other opportunities is provided. Yeah. I wonder if you go back and look and you start talking about comparatively in China, the skilled laden jobs in China still at $3 or $4 or $5 a day.
That's right.
Here, a kid wants to just finish high school. He can get to be a plumber or electrician or whatever, and make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year.
That's right.
In other countries.
That's exactly right.
See?
No question about it.
You can be a welder and make $250 an hour.
Exactly right. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No question about it. I hope everything works out for our university, especially Troy. Troy was on a boom. Troy was really growing at the time of all this. And it's just a shame that this happened at the time.
Once they get the vaccine, everything's going to go back.
Yeah, the vaccine could really make a difference.
Yeah, I just think, I hope that their cash reserves just will allow them, to get through this thing. That's the only concern I have for the smaller schools.
Yeah.
If they've got enough cash reserves, and I think Troy does. I remember I sat in on a couple of their financial meetings this past fall, and I know about what kind of cash reserve they hold it. And I hope, and I got every bit of confidence in Jack Hawkins.
I do too.
And I think he'll do that, and I think he'll take care of that.
They're good people, no question about it. And as I was mentioning, Troy was moving into 8,000 students on campus. And before long, their goal, I think, was around 10,000. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I haven't asked anybody or talked to anybody about it. I don't know if it'll remain the same or how our international program will be. But at one time, Troy had one of the most aggressive international programs of anybody around.
Sure. Well, and I think they started off as too, doing programs off campus via the internet.
Yeah, and these are good kids, wanting to get a good education.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those situations where I feel like once the vaccine's around, this time next year, we're having this conversation in May. Things will be totally different. Yeah. I think everybody will go back to college again.
Absolutely.
Mike brought out a couple of things, though, that scared me to death. One thing is we had 2,400 deaths yesterday. 2,400 deaths yesterday. New deaths yesterday. That's laughing. Mike, you said they were averaging how many people, people...
Right now the average is 1,750 a day.
1,750 people a day die from this. Is that nationwide or is that worldwide?
No, that's in the United States.
Oh, boy. 1,700 people a day lose their life.
We're 360 million people.
Right. That's 360 million people you got to remember.
Yeah.
How many people just die, period, every day?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that yesterday, 50,000.
Yeah.
50,000 die, and I think that is nationwide, too, the figure we saw.
My big thing is if the reopening, where it stays one of the reopening, of course, I live down here and restaurants are open now, 25% capacity. You see all the patios and all the outside eating areas are full of people, full of cars. I went to Destin yesterday and drove back, so you can only imagine how many restaurants I saw from Destin back to Graton Beach. And, it's open down here. Just like I told Dad earlier this week, Max, my kids are back in preschool. They're going to school again, and the beaches down here are full of people.
And I tell you what, I've gotten good food from these restaurants. Curb service. I tell you, Longhorn Steakhouse has a wonderful curb service down there. And then, Mike, I'm getting curb services from Sunnyside Grill too.
Yeah, I mean they're worried about possibly a meat shortage throughout the United States now, and that's kind of a worrisome thing for people.
But you know what, though, Michael, I talked to a guy yesterday that's a good friend of mine that just opened a beef market up here. It's a small town. He's a 24-year-old entrepreneur type. He's done over $400,000 the first 3 months he's been in business.
Oh boy!
Wow, that's a lot of money.
And let me tell you, he talked to all the major producers, all the folks that do the beef and the chicken and pork, and this is what the suppliers are filling in. It's not a shortage. It's plenty of feed out there. The warehousing, the central warehousing, U.S. Food, Citgo, and those kind of guys, they're holding the product line to be sure everybody's got enough.
Yeah.
Right. They're concerned with all the restaurants open back up now.
Yeah.
They aren't going to have it's going to be a glut. It's a glut right now in the warehousing if they've released it on time. And that's why the rumors out now that there's a shortage. There's not a shortage. There's a shortage in release from the warehouse, and that's by choice.
When the...
I told my wife I'd take up fishing down here if I had to provide for the family.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there are a lot of companies before even this happened, even through the top era of our economists, as far as our economy goes, we're probably at our highest level ever. But there are a lot of companies out there that were having a hard time, that weren't making it. This gives them an easy way out. Is that right?
Oh, no doubt about that. There's a lot not coming.
With government help, they're going to be able now to go bankrupt with government's help.
Yeah, but let me tell you something else, guys. I'm more worried about with the companies like Smithfield, the big.
Exactly. Yeah.
When they sell out to China, and they've already sold their company to China.
Have they really?
Oh, absolutely. They closed that deal last week.
Oh boy, I knew they were going under, but I didn't know they had done that.
Oh, they've already seen. And if you keep up, look, the thing when I first wake up every morning at 5 o'clock, I hit the financial channels, and I get the Squawk Box. I did all the profile stuff.
Yeah.
I keep up with that stuff daily, and there's some stuff going on out there that's scary.
Yeah, well, you would think with the situation we've got with them that we wouldn't allow them to buy anything right now.
We are. We're not taking. Our national government still got the free enterprise concept.
Yeah.
If it's for sale, sell it.
Boy, oh boy. But a lot's going to be happening, and of course, we're just a bunch of bald folks talking about all this information.
That's right.
But I tell you what, I know you've been very involved with what's going on in the business world too, and of course, there's some great opportunities going to be out there for a lot of folks too, don't you think?
No doubt about that. And that's what we're trying to position ourselves. Well, fortunate enough, we got enough to live on right now, and it hasn't affected us in our day-by-day operations. But what we're doing now is trying to find the best people we can find, enough capital, enough resources to take not one product, but several products back to the marketplace when it opens back up.
Max, you remember, of course, in the old days when you were teaching school and so forth, there was always, the principal said, well, you need to get a project and raise some money. And so what they would do, they would come up with, what would they call that? They call it, to raise money for the cheerleaders or the football team. What?
Yeah, you talking like a booster club?
Yeah, but they raise money for the cause, so forth.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a lot of folks making money off of a face mask this fall, don't you think? The cheerleader groups and
they're going to be doing
fundraisers. What I'm looking for, fundraisers. Fundraising business going to be big, don't you think?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, I've seen it go when we first started. When this thing started a month ago. Some of our orders, we were ordering straight from China with some of the big manufacturers. We were paying anywhere from $1.50 to $2 a piece. I bought some this past week on the street now, retail, for 85 cents a piece.
Oh, man. Gosh. After we get off air, stay on the line. I need to talk to you about something.
Troy's got a cold front coming through. You know, the lows in Troy the next 4 nights are going to be 43 and 44.
All right, now here, Max Howell. Now,
Michael, it's 38 up here.
38? Wow.
Yes.
And see,
it's pretty strange for May to be this cold.
And I was thinking about going to the beach and going swimming. I'm actually about to go swimming
in the next 20 minutes. I'm about to go to the water right now.
I thought we were having global warming.
Yeah.
What happened to that concept?
I tell you what, man, the weather in April and so far in May have been absolutely incredible. Now, March was really hot, but man, April was beautiful.
You know, the Facebook, everybody's talking about the face mask and so forth with their favorite team's logo on it. I mean, there's been patents already on that. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I thought.
Or will they allow a patent?
Oh, yeah. That's all license. See, anything you
it's merchandise price.
I don't care. It's all licensed.
Yeah.
You got to deal with those manufacturers that already have the license.
Well, I'm seeing all kinds of face masks, and I like it. I mean, they some of them are real good looking face masks, and that's going to.
Set up a meeting with Bill Battle. He's in charge of all that.
Mike, you might end up seeing face masks for a dime.
You know, I was at Chick-fil-A yesterday. And they were all wearing the cow print face mask.
Right,
it was pretty amazing.
Oh man, isn't it amazing how people are going to take advantage of economically of some hard times?
Hey, that's what this country's all about, Mike.
Exactly.
It's a free market, and you jump on it. Those guys that are aggressive out there, that's
right.
Going.
Exactly right.
Yep.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Hey, thank you for being on our show, Mike. And of course, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass right here in Troy. Also, Troy Bank and Trust Company. Remember, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever need. A1 Services, Terry Moats, he is my air conditioning and heating guy. But the thing is, the poor guy, he don't know which way to go. Should I go to fix his heater or his air conditioner? I don't know which one. Don't you agree?
Well, right now, I'm thinking you better start leaning toward air conditioning, because this little cold snap's going to go away in about a week.
Let me ask this, as bad as things are, and with all the deaths that we report on this show every morning, and we hate it, and our prayers were with all of you that have heard through all these, and people that are sitting at home worried about things. Remember, the Lord Jesus Christ promises us, if you believe in him through faith, you'll have everlasting life. The most important thing in the world to me is your how you live and the way you live through Christ. And trust in the Lord, and things will work out fine. Hope you've enjoyed our show. You'll watch us again today at 1:30 today in L.A. That's Lower Alabama. Have a good one.